Con 1 over there, and they're not getting any visitors, no guests. They're getting, 300 people to show up at events. They'll show pictures of people crossing the street. Look at the line for the event for Kamala. All of this, and specifically, we're going to look at what Pete Buttigieg said over the weekend and how I will dismantle everything. All of the talking points from the radical left dismantled today, right before your very eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, the right side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right side with Doug Billings, right side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to the Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and his divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Right Side. Doug Billings here with you, coming to you from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. My friends, look, the radical left in free fall panic. Can you tell? Can you tell? Has not this enthusiasm that they've dished out over the last several days been evident of the panic that they are experiencing? Everywhere you turn. Look at the lines for the event that Kamala is having. Look at the lines up in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Gretchen Whitmer drawing huge, vast crowds. Ladies and gentlemen, not more than 350 people. They are making a big deal talking. They're actually lying about everything that they have done, everything that Kamala represents. I'm going to take a specific look with you today about what they say, what they claim, what the difference is, because what they say and what they claim are vastly different. The lies are thick, they're vast, and they're wide. We'll take a look at it. And ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for standing with me shoulder to shoulder. We are in this whole thing together to reclaim the republic from this coalition of immorality that is really the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, and I'm honored to have you with me. And I will be with you in person in Branson, Missouri, September 27th and 28th. I want you to check out a website, determinedpatriotismconference.com. determinedpatriotismconference.com. This is the event, Branson, Missouri, September 27th and 28th. Some of the top tier speakers in the nation. And this list is only partial. We're adding speakers by the week. And we will be coming to you live in Branson, Missouri, where you will learn specifically how to engage in your local community, how to reclaim your republic from the grip and the nightmare that has become thrust down upon us since Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris have been running the show over at the White House. So mark your calendars, September 27th and 28th. Tickets online right there at determinedpatriotismconference.com. 2 nights, hotel room, entertainment. We're going to go see some shows. We're going to have great speeches and talks. You're going to leave armed, motivated, and ready to engage in your local level. So thanks very much for heading over there and check it out. More speakers will be added in the days and weeks ahead. I will keep you posted. And also, those of you watching on X, follow, like, subscribe. YouTube, you guys subscribe. Follow me on Rumble, too, over there, you guys. Thanks also to the people at worldofyoutube.com. Special thanks to producers Reagan and Logan over there and the folks at Spreely TV. We are everywhere. And if you like to listen to the program in the car, we are on almost every audio podcast platform out there. So thank you very much. Like I said, I'm honored, and we are in this thing together. Every once in a while, I'm amazed, even I am amazed, at the depth and the width of the lies that the radical liberal mob will attempt to tell us when they're on television, when they are making the rounds in the legacy media. Last weekend, just a couple of days ago, I was watching Fox Sunday morning and with Shannon Bream. And I know. I watch it so that you don't have to, my friends. I get it. I'm very rarely surprised that these people lie, these radical liberals, but sometimes I admit that I am amazed at how far they go and the amount of guts they have to actually blatantly lie as much as they do. Little Pistol Pete Buttigieg did the honors on Sunday, and wow, did he spin a monstrosity of lies and nonsense. I'm going to walk you through it. First of all, the things that he says are so inaccurate, at least to you and me, right? You, who are members of the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land, and anyone with any shred of intellectual maturity looks and listens to these comments and these words and what they do and say, and we just go, God, who in the right minds would ever believe such things? So last weekend, Pete Buttigieg, he's on Fox News Sunday, Shannon Bream trying to do a good job, and he unloads this avalanche of abject BS across the airwaves. It's the most blatant, thorough, perpetuating river of muck and lies that I've seen. And I've seen quite a bit lately, especially since Kamala was given, she didn't earn it, she was given the role of heir apparent over there, right? So ever since that happened, ever since that announcement happened, I've seen a lot. Buttigieg outdid them all on Sunday. He sat there on that set. Oh, and by the way, he appeared not as Secretary of Transportation, Peter Buttigieg, but as just American citizen Buttigieg. You see, because right off the bat, what that tells you is when he makes it a point to say, oh, by the way, I'm not acting in my official capacity as Secretary of Transportation, I'm just coming to you as Little Pete. Well, what that tells you is that he can't tell the truth with regards to the topic at hand in his capacity as Secretary of Transportation, because he would be subpoenaed and questioned by Congress about the lies that he spewed forth last weekend on the show. And the topic, of course, was Kamala Harris. Now, there's an entire array of things that I need to address with you today, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to what he said, because it's so important to making sure that the truth be told. Our countermeasures to these people always must be the truth. We do not get into conjecture, speculation, and certainly no clickbait and no conspiracies. We deal in reality. We are not products of Kookville. Their talking points about how apparently amazing they think Kamala is. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you know, they have wanted Kamala even before they wanted Administrator Biden. She's been their girl all along, don't you know? That's what they would have us believe. The Commune Socialists, formerly known as Democrat Party, in just a matter of days, Buttigieg claims this. He says, it's amazing. Just in a matter of days, she has consolidated the party. There's vast amounts of enthusiasm out there, something like I've never seen or haven't seen in a long time, Buttigieg says. I've got some specific things to say after I show you our first clip, ladies and gentlemen. Here, clip number 1, consolidation of the party. Pete Buttigieg begins his rampant avalanche of nonsense. Clip number 1. Here we go.
Now joining us, also fresh off the campaign trail, Pete Buttigieg. He's appearing today in his personal capacity, so no disrespect that we aren't using your cabinet title, but you are here as Pete today. Right. Okay, so you've been on the trail. A week ago, we were doing the show. President Biden was still in the race. We now have a presumptive new nominee. But less than a week later, Bret Stephens is writing this in the New York Times saying, the one thing the Democratic Party is not supposed to be is anti-democratic, a party in which insiders select the nominee from the top down, not the bottom up, and which expects the rank and file to fall in line and clap enthusiastically. That's the playbook of ruling parties in autocratic states. You know the optics of this, that it was donors who pulled the plug on President Biden, and they're the ones calling the shots about how this proceeds.
Well, it's true that the Democratic Party is not famous for falling in line. That's part of why it's so remarkable that in a matter of days, Kamala Harris has consolidated our big tent party. And this is something that is coming from the ground up. You can feel it. I was in a field office in Michigan yesterday, close to our home, and saw an extraordinary energy. So many people from different corners of our party ready to support Kamala Harris, ready for her to defeat Donald Trump. And it's a level of energy that, frankly, I haven't seen on the campaign trail in a long time.
Oh, Pinocchio Pete, ladies and gentlemen, there he goes. Could you imagine that schnoz would be right in Shannon Bream's face if he was indeed Pinocchio? So many lies there. Okay, consolidated the party. Really? That's what he's claiming. All right. Kamala has garnered support in a matter of days. It's amazing. We've never seen anything quite like this in modern political history. I haven't seen this kind of enthusiasm in a long time, he says. Folks, let's be clear. The only kind of support that Kamala Harris has been given by mandated instructions from on high of the hierarchy of the liberal party. In all seriousness, this is not organic. Nothing you see out there is real with regards to the enthusiasm. There is none. I will show you a clip later in the show here today about how they all felt in 2020. When she was running for president. Nothing has changed in 3.5 years. I can tell you this. They are in panic mode. What other answers are they going to give? There's no other person to put up. No, it's not going to be Michelle Obama. Get off that kick. But it's not organic, and the support you're seeing is scripted. It is contrived, and most definitely it is mandated by the party hierarchy. As soon as the hierarchy of this communist-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, decided that they were going to take out Joe Biden, conference calls were immediately scheduled. Get everybody on the line. We need the hierarchy. We need the elected class. Get our members in Congress and the Senate. Get them on the line. Oh, we need the celebrity class to join us as well. I'll get to the big dudes event in just a moment. What a flounder. Okay, and then so all of the minions in the media, they're talking heads on social media, get them all on the line. And you can bet that they had conference calls discussing, what are we going to do? What are we going to say? Fake the enthusiasm, get out there, act excited, and let's take it from there. And let's just make up little catchphrases. Let's begin to call Trump and Vance weird and make it stick when, in fact, the radical liberal mob and what they stand for, they forget that they represent a vast minority of American people. And what we typical folks see is the definition of weird. So during these conference calls, party loyalty and enthusiasm are demanded. And they have their marching orders, and they go off and they try to carry it out. I haven't seen this kind of enthusiasm in a long time, Buttigieg says. Take a look at social media when they show you the clips and the footage of Kamala Harris and others at these events they claim that they're having. Given her current role and job, she's not drawing anyone. You won't find any gathering that they post that has more than 1,000 people at it. And in many times, it's 300 to 400 people, tops. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. Enthusiasm? He's got to be kidding us. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. We can see it. There is none. And so people ask, why are they so enthusiastic? Why are they just overload? Because they're in panic mode. The radical left gets giddy whenever Kamala or people like Gretchen Whitmer or Josh Shapiro, what a beauty this guy is. Anytime they go out there and they muster up 350 people, wow, you gotta feel a little bit sorry for him because they're only used to Joe Biden's events where he had 6 minivans and maybe 15 or 20 people show up. So 350 people to them is the gravy train. Wow, we've struck gold. So, but then Shannon Bream turns the attention to the truth about what people think about Kamala. So during the program that we had yesterday, I showed you a clip. I showed you a clip of what real liberals think about Kamala. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to show you this. Now, this is not people who are Republican or anti-Biden or anti-Harris. This is them. In fact, many of the people in the clip that I'm going to show you when we come back are members of their hierarchy, their leadership. So I'll show you that, ladies and gentlemen. Sit tight, and while you ponder whether or not you like this show or not, and I know that you do, you become the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land for watching it. Don't forget to head over to DougBillings.us. DougBillings.us. Look at that. Thank you, Logan. Right up there on the screen, you can see it. Prayerfully, please consider setting up a monthly recurring donation to the program so I can continue to bring it to you. I never charge you for this show. It's free. I'm just asking you. If you like it, and if you like what this truth is and how it comes to you, please consider setting up that monthly recurring donation at DougBillings.us. All right, you enjoy this trip off into capitalism. I'll be here when you get back. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older. And it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Liveyoungerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great, and so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield. Electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, coming to you from the fruited plains of America.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I sure do appreciate you. I just have the best time when I'm with you talking about the things, the state of play in America. I really do, and I mean it. I am blessed to be able to do this. It's wild. 4 years ago, I was in corporate America. The COVID pandemic hits. One thing leads to another. I think a lot of us were put on different paths, right, when all of that nonsense started to happen. So this is just an honor to be with you. So I appreciate your patience when I ask you to head over to DougBillings.us and support us over there. It's how we continue to bring you the show. And it's how I continue to tell you these kinds of things, as I'm doing today. Pete Buttigieg, I'm calling him out because he's Pete Buttigieg, but because he represents what the radical left mob is putting out there. And it's lie after lie after lie. And so I want to countermeasure that with the truth. And it could be Pete Buttigieg, it could be anybody on that side. They all have the same talking points. They all attend the same conference calls, Skype and Zoom calls every week. They do, not making that up. So they're all saying the same thing. This week, it's just that Pete Buttigieg is the guy that I'm going after and addressing what the nonsense that he said. So he's on Fox Sunday morning, and he's talking about now glorious reviews for Kamala. She's the best thing since sliced bread. She's the best politician we've ever produced in America. She is absolutely incredible. She's the in fact, I'm surprised we didn't choose her first. We should never have put Biden in. He's not saying that, but that's what he's implying. And so here, I want you to look. He's claiming that she's a visible and effective vice president. Okay, I know, stop. I know you're tempted to laugh right now. Check out clip number 2, and I'll be right back.
More delegates, though, than she has. I mean, when you ran back in 2020, you accrued them. She didn't get any delegates. She dropped out of that race. Former staffer of hers says she worries about this coronation. She wrote about it in The Atlantic, saying she wasn't tested and tried. Are you worried about that? Because Bret Stephens also says this. He says she's unpopular. She's been a bad campaigner. She's been a bad manager. She's a blue state Dem who's got to win purple states. She's anchored to the president's record. He worries that maybe Democrats should be more worried that there hasn't been a thorough vetting. So when she gets into this head-to-head with President Trump, there will be wishes that she had been vetted.
The idea that somebody hasn't been tested or vetted when they have been vice president of the United States for nearly 4 years just doesn't make any sense. She is in obviously one of the most visible leadership roles in the country. And she's demonstrated both her effectiveness in that job and a vision for the country that Americans agree with. And that's a
So I got to hand it to the way Pete can just lie with a straight face. And to one point, I will give him credit. The vice presidency is normally a high-profile job. All right. Kamala Harris has turned the vice presidency into a no-show job. How we can sit there and say that she's been effective and visible is absolutely astonishing. As soon as she came into the political scene on a national level, no one on the radical left liked her. Nobody thought that she was effective. They all thought she was the worst possible candidate to be chosen. Couldn't believe that Biden picked her. And we know that Biden didn't. But this goes to my point about, what is really their goal here, ladies and gentlemen. I talk about this on social media. Please follow me over on Twitter and Facebook and I should say X. And you'll see me talk about this because the presidency, and this is going to sound shocking and counterintuitive, the presidency is not their primary goal here. Their primary goal is what it has always been, to continually move the political needle in America to the left, as far to the left as possible. Now, they weren't always so brazen about this. Bill Clinton wasn't as brazenly left as Kamala Harris. And yet that's where we are today. So it's not so much now they'll take the presidency. Obviously, they'll try to get it any way they can. But their goal is to move the needle to the left. And what better person, regardless of whether or not she's good, bad, or otherwise, than Kamala Harris? She's the most radical member of the United States government, more left than Bernie Sanders. These people have no moral compass with regards to what they do or what they think. This is not just my opinion. This is matter of record with regards to Kamala. She's been absentee as a leader in the vice pretender role. Their primary goal, move the needle to the left. If we get the presidency, that's great. And then there's no better political candidate than we've got than Kamala, if that's really what we want to do. They had meetings about this. Look, when they were going to force Joe out, they began to think about who can we put, because they knew obviously Kamala was there. She's the vice president. And yes, they are painted into that DEI corner. They can't just get anybody. They've got this half black, half Asian woman. Nothing wrong with that. But they've painted her the DEI qualification. Biden himself said, I'm not going to put anybody in this role other than a black female. So they've painted themselves into a corner. And so it's been 3.5 years of abject failure after. Where has she been? What has she done? And to this point, liberals, many of them in the hierarchy of their party, talking heads on the media, celebrity class, and so on, did not like her. I want to remind you about this. Here's a clip of all of them saying how bad Kamala is and that they can't believe she's their choice. Take a look. Montage.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president.
Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings.
Swing voters don't like Harris. How big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
She's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
Kamala Harris's approval rating is now at 28%, which is an historic low for any modern vice president.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
We don't see the vice president. What people are saying to me, and I'm sure they're saying it to you, where's the vice president? Some White House officials are feeling that she came off looking unprepared for inevitable questions about when she might visit the southern border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
The point that Lester Holt was making was obvious to anyone else who was watching this interview, which is that the issues at the border are inextricably linked with the portfolio that she's been given.
The border is secure. We have a secure border.
Bidenomics is working. Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
He picked Kamala Harris to be his running mate. She was ranked and is ranked as the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. So he could have gone the other way, but he went to the left.
Joe Biden is running for re-election, and I will be his ticket mate. Full stop. Full stop. That's it.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Yeah, so there it is. So there, Buttigieg is busted. They didn't like her then. They don't like her now. They're in panic mode. The enthusiasm that you see is all manufactured, and it's demanded. It is painful to watch her. Look, she has no talent as a public speaker. She cannot think clearly. She can't think on her feet. Unless she's got a teleprompter in front of her, she's lost. She doesn't know. She's not been present. As I said, she's turned the vice presidency into a no-show job. And Pistol Pete continues on. He continues on this rampant barrage of lie after lie. He begins to back up this commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, talking points about abortion and how Donald Trump is responsible for denying women the right to choose. It's the typical line that they were all given on those conference calls that I told you about. It's one of the many talking points that all Democrats and the legacy media members are given. Well, let's bring up abortion. It's a winning issue and it's not a winning issue for them. Actually, it's a winning issue for conservatives. I could go on and on about that one. But they have this talking point where somehow Trump has taken away a woman's right to choose. I have more to say about this. I want to show you the clip first. Clip number 3, Buttigieg talking about this national right to choose. Clip number 3.
Whether we're talking about choice and her stance on defending a woman's right to choose versus Donald Trump, who eliminated a right to choose in this country.
Well, he sent it back to the states, to be fair.
Let's be very clear. He is proud of the fact that he demolished the national right to choose in this country, period.
But there are states that are figuring this out. I mean, there are some that are, it's nearly impossible, a 6-week ban or less. But there are others, there are states in this country that allow no restrictions up until the due date of a child.
There was a national right to choose in this country, law of the land, for 50 years, which the vast majority of Americans believe was the right thing to do. But Donald...
Now, she could have been quicker on her feet there, because the national right to choose is something that cannot exist by our Constitution. The federal government, what Pete is talking about there is a federal allowance for the federal government coming in, and we're talking about Roe v. Wade, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional because the federal government cannot make and give a national allowance for a right to choose. They can't do it, the federal government. They cannot. It was faulty, but they got it way back when, 50 years ago, and they view it now as part of their golden calf, this abortion issue for the radical left liberal mob. But the current Supreme Court correctly reset it and said, no, the federal government can't mandate this. And so we're going to return the issue to the states, as the founding fathers and our Constitution demand and require. He talks about the federal provision for granting abortion. The federal government has no power to do that. And by saying that, Pete Buttigieg displays his disdain, quite frankly, for the intent of the founding fathers and the role as written in the Constitution. Because within that sacred document that we have, inspired by God and written by men, the Constitution, the founders made it clear that the federal government has no jurisdiction over the lives of the people of the Republic in such a way. And likewise, I might add, my dear fellow conservatives, the federal government has no authority to act a national ban of abortion, nor does it have the power to enact a national allowance for abortion. No ban and no allowance. The federal government can't do it. Trump did the right thing. He returned it to the states. So we now have as our task as conservatives in our local states, counties, and cities to find and put forth candidates that will vote our way with regards to the issue of life, so that our state will honor the sanctity of human life. For the time being, yes, there will be states that allow it and states that don't, but we need to engage in what I call determined patriotism at our local level so that we get these people in office that will make the state that you live in an anti-abortion state. That's how we've got to do it. We cannot depend on a national ban of abortion because that's unconstitutional. Listen, I believe that God gave us our rights, and I believe that God has inspired these men, these 56 men who signed our Declaration of Independence and the men who wrote our Constitution. He inspired them to write these documents. And within these documents are the rubrics and the rules by which we must live in this republic. So yes, these issues must go to the states as God intended and as the founding fathers intended. So let that be some comfort to you as you wrestle with the fact, well, I want a national ban on abortion. That's not what God and the founders put in place. We need to take action locally with our communities in our local levels of government to find and put forth men and women who have our belief in the sanctity of human life. That's how we prevail at the state level, and that's what God and the founders intended. So Buttigieg and the left way off base with regards to all of that. I've got more to say, more of Pinocchio Pete when we come back. But let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, DougBillings.us. I really do. Once the show is over, head over to DougBillings.us and click on that donate tab. Consider prayerfully, please, setting up a recurring monthly donation. And when we come back, if you want to join me, if you want to call in, 901-316-8404. I'm going to open up the phone lines, 901-316-8404. I'll be happy to talk to you about all of these issues that we're talking about. Kamala, what people really think of her, where she's going to take the country, where she's not done anything. We'll talk about anything. 901-316-8404. I'm looking forward to it. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Doug Billings, driving the left crazy with the truth.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. The Right Side with Doug Billings. 901-316-8404, 404 if you want to get in. That would be great. Looks like we may have a caller or two on the phone. Do we, Logan, or Reagan, do we have a caller? Yep, let's go. Looks like someone from Australia. Good grief.
Hi,
hello.
Doug.
Welcome to the right side.
Yeah. Hi, Doug. How are you? Yeah. Good. Look, Doug, what I want to talk to you about, it's actually something to do with the American Constitution, which I first understood way back in 2020. You often get on the case, rightly so, about Democrats constantly raving about saving our democracy or Trump's a threat to our democracy.
Right.
But as you rightly say, it's a constitutional republic. And I ended up writing a piece on that. I could go on, but might just read you something I got. I wrote. Hang on, I get page 6. Anyway, what it was from the time of J6, they were constantly saying save our democracy. But what I looked at it, they were talking more about the founding of a democracy in the terms of something like the German Democratic Republic or the Democratic People's Republic of China. Democratic People's Republic of Korea, right? And in some ways, what they were talking about when they were saving democracy and around January 6th was this more about saving, establishing like a democracy or a mobocracy, if you like, from the times of the old East Germany, or something like Democratic People's Republic of Korea. There's also, I think, in the Lao People's Democratic Republic, something like that. And as you said, the constitutional republic, they say the mob, like the 51%, don't have the right to oppress the 49%. But they want us to take us to something like, I'd say those democracies, like I was pointing out, well, so-called democracies I was talking about. Yeah.
Right. And my friend, what was your name again? I didn't catch your name.
Yeah, Vince
from Australia. Vince. Well, you good people down under have a certain experience with this kind of tyranny, don't you?
Yeah. Well, to its point, especially in the state of Victoria under the premiership of the Maoist Premier Dan Andrews.
Yes.
He actually had signed Victoria up for the Belt and Road Initiative. For the Belt and Road, but fortunately, and actually in one case, this is where the federal overruled the state. The federal government, I think, knocked that on the head. But I think it was the longest. What was I saying? The longest lockdown in the history of the world. I think we had anywhere. I've been in contact with people. I'm in Brisbane, up in the north in Queensland. But the people in Melbourne there, you're absolutely despising. I mean, Dennis Prager, too, in an interview with the Epic Times, he was talking about how, too, they used, it was something like J6 was like the Reichstag fire in late February 1933, where I think the Nazis perpetrated that fire.
Right. Yeah.
It became a tool for mass censorship. They brought in the Enabling Act. That's the constitutional means to obliterate free speech. The other one was the Malicious Practices Act. That was that was more the judicial means. But and that's where I wrote about it, drawing parallels with the Reichstag fire in January 6th. And they bring that up in front of it. That's not something they would like to talk about. I know. And just something about the Constitutional Republic of America. When, say, somebody signs up to fight, in a defense force for a communist country, they sign up to protect the party or the dictator. With the American Constitution, they sign up. A serviceman in America, they sign up to serve the Constitution. That's the point I was trying to make. Yeah.
Right.
I was fumbling around at the early because I was just trying to find my notes or the PDF that I was looking at. But yeah, I ended up actually writing about that in a chapter of my book, belatedly written chapter, because what I saw was happening in America in 2020 as I was writing my book. This was like an eerie parallels I was finding with a crumbling Weimar Germany, with the brown shirts of Hitler running rampant, looking similar to the likes of Freedom Road Socialist Organisation and Antifa running rampant. For me, this was utterly eerie. Yeah.
Vince, what do you, if I may ask, what do you do in Australia? Are you a journalist? Are you an author by trade?
Well, call me a part-time author. My full-time job is I just read electricity meters, but I have written a book where I've been struggling to get I've had it self-published. I've had it through two outlets, one in Taiwan and one through Liberty Hill Publishing in Florida. I've only sold a handful, but the few people that have loved the book have loved it. It's mostly set in World War II, story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer and a Prussian matriarch. But then I belatedly added a chapter 29. Yeah, and so I'm a part-time author and researcher, full-time, meter reader. I'm meter reading now, yeah.
What's the name? What's the title of the book?
It's called The Pastor and the Matriarch of the German Underground and Their Times, and the subtitle is A Polish Perspective. I was inspired to write it when I saw the statue of, a bronze cross monument to Dietrich Bonhoeffer in Wrocław, the modern Polish day city of Wrocław, which was Dietrich Bonhoeffer's birthplace of Breslau in 1906. I was there actually about 99 years after his birth, funnily enough. Yeah, and
Vince, is the book available for us to get anywhere? Can we find this book?
You can go. I think Amazon, but I recommend go to Liberty Hill Publishing. I've also got my own website, vincebarwinski.com. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it very much. Do me a favor and pass on your information to Logan, the producer, and maybe we can remain in touch. That's a great call, and it's very grateful. What platform are you listening to us on down there in Brisbane?
Brisbane. Well, actually, I mostly listen to on the mobile phone just through Chrome. Although at the moment I'm calling you on Skype.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm calling you on Skype because the phone didn't have the plan for international call, so I'm calling you on Skype right now.
We hear from people from Australia more than people realize. We get a lot of emails and messages from down under, and I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. I mean, our Constitution did have elements of the American Constitution, and we did have founding fathers, although not born in the crucible of revolution. But I think we're not as militant, as passionate about a constitution as in America. I think we need to be. And just a point on Weimar Germany. Weimar did have, I think, a kind of robust constitution, but the trouble with Weimar, it was founded in what the Germans saw as the humiliation of the Versailles Treaty in the wake of World War I. I write about that. American Republic was founded really more under great, a lot of people proud exaltation, and in overthrowing the tyranny under the most powerful military power in the world at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is the thing Hitler exploited, especially after 1929, the Wall Street crash. Yeah.
Vince, I appreciate the phone call very much. This is great. Give our best to everyone in Australia and in your neck of the woods. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for being on the right side. Call back anytime.
Okay, Doug. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cheers. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Never ceases to amaze me, the breadth and the width of the program. And he's right. We do take a lot of pride in our Constitution and in, being born from that adversarial overthrow of the world's most powerful military might at that time. And we do take pride. And that's why I get so wound up about people who do not take seriously the Constitution and the original intent of the founding fathers. And Vince hit on it. He hit on one of my most mentioned pet peeves. I talk to you often about how the radical left will not because they don't want to, because they're under orders not to talk about us as a republic with a Republican form of government. The root word of Republican, they can't dare do that. Democracy. And there's a distinct difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic. Thank you, Vince, in Australia. And so Pete Buttigieg and the radical left will do everything they can. Another case in point, you may see now Administrator Biden talking about expanding the Supreme Court or installing term limits for the justices on the Supreme Court. Okay. unconstitutional. It would take a constitutional amendment, never going to happen, but they talk about it. And again, keep this in mind, just like I said with Kamala Harris and the presidency is not their primary objective, believe it or not. It's moving the needle to the left. That is the primary objective for everything that they do. So when Administrator Biden says he wants to install term limits for the justices on the Supreme Court, it's not so much that he thinks that's going to happen. He just wants to start that dialogue so it moves the needle to the left. We will combat that. We will not allow the intent of the founders and the divine providence of God and his intent to be circumvented by those who don't even believe in God. We will dig in and not let that happen. More callers on the line. Looks like we have David in Florida. David, thanks for being on the right side. You're with us. How are you, sir?
First time calling into your show. How you doing?
David, thank you, first time caller. I appreciate you very much. I'm honored.
I'm honored. You know, in line with what you were just saying, the younger generation, the young people of now of today, they have no clue as to what socialism and Marxist ideology really entails. You know, our school's not teaching correct history, okay, right, and not instilling a solid, not just a biblical base, but even a solid constitutional base from which to reference from. No wonder they're lost. No wonder a whole bunch of young people in this country are lost because they don't have anything, no solid ground to refer to. You know, I've called in several times and talked to, just briefly actually, you know, and talked to Brandon about the Hegelian dialectic process there.
Yes.
And it is clear, and it is clearly at work here. And the thing is, you know, even though President Trump is saying all the right things, he's pointing out everything that we believe is good about America. I still, there's no way one man, and I sincerely hope that even though it's been reported that the steel is on, as it is right now, reporting that they're not going to tally the votes in Pennsylvania, that'll take a few days, blah blah blah. You know, they're gearing up for the same thing, and that's very disappointing to hear that. But of course, they're going to try and cheat. But the thing is, you know, I try to be a truth teller and tell people, listen, it's not just President Trump alone. There's no way one man can start to set things straight alone. It's going to be a dedicated response from a whole bunch of people who need to make a real commitment, not only toward truth, but toward changing, getting back to where we came from, teaching real history. Teaching people how to recognize, you know, socialism and the insidiousness of Marxist ideology that unfortunately we've been brainwashed for years with now through television ads, just like, you know, they hijack, you know, words and the meaning of words. And people need to really wake up and understand just how much of their thinking has been basically influenced by Marxist ideology. And I really don't know how this is going to turn around.
Well, I think you're spot on. I mean, yeah, I think that when we look back, I've spoken about this before on previous shows, that we not you and I, members of this audience, are a little bit more awake than the normal John and Jane Doe on the streets of Main Street America. So people that, as I humorously say, people that listen to this show are part of the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land. But in all seriousness, a lot of people think this was just sprung upon us in 2020. Wow, we had the theft of an American presidential election, and there's this pandemic, and all of a sudden the world is turned upside down. And it didn't happen. They've been at this for 127 years. And we forget the fact that Rockefeller and Carnegie and Dewey, and these three wealthy men who were all socialists, who pooled their money together in foundations and began to collectively change the landscape of American educational institutions, the media, entertainment, it began a long time ago. The liberals are many things, and they are, if one thing, patient. They, like, again, they're
what
not.
You just said just a few moments ago, you know, I doubt if you ask any normal person off the street, they will not be able to tell you the difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic.
I agree.
And that's sad. That's sad.
It is sad, and we need a return to civics in our schools, and we need it's in addition to just honest history is one thing, but a study of civics. And when we look at if we go back and we were to research early American public school curriculums, we would find the Bible, theology, philosophy, the arts, civics. And so we see these things slowly being taken out, and the out of context quote about separation of church and state, which doesn't at all mean what the liberals claim it means. So we do have a task at hand. Now, I perhaps am an eternal optimist. I have never suggested during the last 4 years of this program that America is on her deathbed. In fact, I've gone to great lengths to say, no, she's not. We are in a nightmare. And the difference between being on one's deathbed and a nightmare is that in a nightmare, we always wake up. And that's what we're doing. But it's still not complete. We have to show up to vote. We never give up the right to vote. We don't honor God when we don't participate in the rights that he's given us. So there are some people out there that say, well, I'm not going to vote because we can't vote our way out of a rigged system. Well, that, my friends, is no honor to God, and it's certainly no honor to the military who have gone to the battlefield to die for your right to vote. So
that's absolutely true. I agree with that.
We always vote and participate, and we work in our local levels. You in Florida, David, that's where your change will happen. In Florida, forget Washington, D.C. Change never begins in Washington, D.C. We begin to change our local levels, and our states begin to change, and that's how we reclaim the republic. David, we got about 30 seconds. I'll give you the last 30 seconds.
No, I want to thank you for your platform, and the more and more people, I'm trying to turn everybody I can onto this network and this platform because they really need to be, they need to have their eyes opened as to how things are, be taught real news and real circumstance. And I want to thank you for the job that you're doing, and we need to get it out even more. And again, I can't thank you enough.
You are so welcome. As I say, first of all, you honor me with those comments. We are shoulder to shoulder. We're in this thing together, and I appreciate you sharing the program. And encourage people to go to DougBillings.us and support us over there if they prayerfully consider a financial recurring donation. That's how we continue to do this thing. And nobody over here is flying on private jets or eating it, traveling around the world. We're all trying to make it. I understand. But this is how we continue to get the truth out. So I am honored, flattered, and very humbled by your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
A wonderful day.
Thank you. You too, David. Ladies and gentlemen, I went way long there, but that's all right. 2 great phone calls. I am going to just take us to the home stretch here, making an executive decision just to finish out this stretch. I think that what we're up against is one of the most exciting challenge. Looks, I think it's exciting. I think what we're seeing is a dynamic shift in the trajectory of this republic. I think that we are on the cusp of seeing the greatest reawakening to the divine providence of God that this republic has ever seen. And I mean, including the time of the founding fathers. We see it. And if you look closely at social media and legacy news, think about it with me. Go with me on this thought. What you see today in the legacy media and on social media, if you're the type of person who's on social media, X and Facebook and Rumble and all that, and if you watch legacy news, Fox News, CNN, whatever you may watch, whatever, what you see from the radical left, as I said at the beginning of this program, is an avalanche of enthusiasm. Oh boy, Kamala, she's the one. And you can sense it, can't you? You can tell because you're intellectually mature and because you have a basis in reality. You can tell that they don't mean it. They are in DEFCON 1 panic mode. They have no reasonable assurance that this candidate is even going to get the nomination. All of this sugar high that they are experiencing over there on the left, they've got to go through a convention next month. And I can tell you right now that there are major groups within the radical left communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, who are not happy with the fact that they were not given a voice in the choice of Kamala Harris. Our very own nationally groomed domestic terror group, Black Lives Matter, is not happy. They're going to vie for and push for a contested convention. members of Antifa, all sorts of people throughout the world, through the Republic rather, who were not given a voice. This is not a foregone conclusion. This is precisely why it took Obama a few days to, he was not going to endorse Kamala before the convention. But there was such an upheaval within that party that even he succumbed to the demands of the hierarchy. He was overruled. He wanted a contest. He wanted to take this thing to Chicago and have it all decided there. And there will be an absolute chaotic scene in Chicago. This is not at all sewn up for Kamala Harris. You can believe that. They are going to be in a mess over there. But to my point, have faith and let your minds be clear. We are on the upswing. The ascendancy of Donald Trump back into the White House, barring any kind of further attempt on the man's life, God help us, God protect President Trump. He is the one that will steer us out of this. Now, he's not perfect. He is not. But we will go with the conservative trend. He clearly aligns with the Constitution and the intent of the Founding Fathers. And above all else, that's where we must begin. God and the intent of the founders. We get back on track. And again, please remember and believe your local level is where it all begins. Your county. Get involved with your Republican committee men and women in your state, in your county. Get with them. Get on your school board. Go to school board meetings. And I understand nobody in their right mind wants to sit through a school board meeting. But we have to if we want to reclaim the Republic. Go become involved. Determined patriotism. That's what it's all about. And speaking of determined patriotism, I'm having a conference in September in Branson, Missouri. The Determined Patriotism Conference, September 27th and 28th. I'd like you all to go, once we sign off here, head over to determinedpatriotismconference.com. determinedpatriotismconference.com. There it is on your screen if you're watching. Go there. Get your tickets. We're going to have a 2-day event in Branson with specific instructions and motivation about how we do just what I was saying. Get involved in your local level. Get involved to win and reclaim the Republic. This is not just a rah-rah, feel-good meeting. This is specifically talking about how we reclaim the Republic, how we can do it. So join us September 27th and 28th. Go to determinedpatriotismconference.com and get your tickets. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be in this fight with you for the fight of the Republic. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. Have an excellent evening. I'll be back with you tomorrow night on all of their usual platforms. God bless you. For the Republic. Cheers.
TWC.health/Brandon. This is one of our sponsors, has been now for a few years.